exchanging ideas and information. I thought perhaps you might be a little bit interested in the higher education scenario. And I'll give you just a quick glimpse of what's going on here in Kenya, because there has been a lot of rapid change over the last 5 years. And some of you may already be familiar. I know my Kenyan colleagues know quite intimately what's been going on, particularly those of us from the private sector. But I thought you might have some interest, because I've gotten a lot of questions from different participants about different areas in terms of higher education here in Kenya. I think all of you know that following the post-election violence in January, that a grand coalition was formed. And in that grand coalition, there were 42 ministries established. Higher education typically fell under the Ministry of Education. But now we have been assigned to what was once called the Ministry of Science and Technology. So we now fall under the new ministry, which is called the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, and Technology. I think some of us are kind of happy with that. Others may not be. But in the Ministry of Education, we were kind of the stepchild. And we're hoping that now, being in a much smaller ministry, along with a PS who's worked in higher education for a number of years and was actually heading up the Commission for Higher Education, that this will be better for universities. The other two major organizations that fall under this, of you from the U.S. know, it's just kind of given out to everybody pretty much equally based on tuition and some other parameters. But here, it's a bit different. The other body that's there under the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, and Technology is one called the Commission for Higher Education, and that is our accrediting body. And that particular accrediting body only accredits private universities. There's been a lot of discussion almost ever since I've been here, and I've been here almost 14 years, about making sure that that quality assurance body oversees both public and private universities. So far, we've been through several reiterations of bills. We've been through the University Bill of 2000, that became the University Bill of 2002. Then it became the Education Bill of 2006, and then it became the Education Bill of 2007. And now that we split from education, it may be, who knows, the university bill again. So we'll find out what's going to happen in the future. And there have been a number of papers and commissions that the government has done looking at higher education in Kenya. There's been the sessional paper number 1. There's been KEPS, which is called the Kenya Educational Sector Support Program, which formed the Strategic Plan for Education. Then there was the Strategic Plan for Education. There's been the Commission on Public Education, Public Universities. There's been the Commission on Strategies for Higher Education. There's been the Commission on Harmonization of Legal Issues Related to Higher Education. So there have been a lot of commissions, and my understanding is they will be implementing some of these and have begun to implement some of the issues that came up in the Public University Inspection Board Commission. But what you'll find is what's pretty common among all these documents that the government is really interested in terms of higher education are basically about 4 dimensions. Access to higher education, equity, because there are areas in the north and in what are called arid, semi-arid lands where people are very much underrepresented in higher universities of higher education, as well as some areas in Western Kenya. The other issue is equity, looking at gender balances. Right now, there's been an improvement in the overall percentage of women who do move into higher education. It's now 40%. Prior to last year, actually, within 2 years ago, it was about 30%. So there has been some improvement. Relevance, you know, are our programs meeting the needs of the development of the nation? And finally, quality. So quality, relevance, access, and equity tend to be the buzzwords that circumvent all of these documents as they're looking at higher education in Kenya. Some new figures about, I guess about 5 years ago, they introduced free primary education, and now there are 8 million young people in primary education. This year is the first year they've introduced free secondary education, and so they're looking at roughly about 1 million students in secondary education right now. There was not a good conversion rate. And in higher education, according to the Economic Survey of 2008, there were 116 students currently pursuing university education. Our figures say that there's probably closer to 130, and there are about 20,000 of those are in the private sector as compared to the public sector. In terms of the future, if you look at this new higher education university strategy, which is in a draft form right now, they're looking at this 130,000 students, and the government is saying we need to increase by the year 2015 to 450,000 students. So if there is going to be that market increase in the number of students going into higher education, then there has to be, as you can imagine, rapid expansion of universities. And the government has already begun with that rapid expansion. Just this past year, they assigned about 8 tertiary institutions or polytechnics to public universities to become university colleges so that they can offer degrees. The private sector has gone from originally, when we started in 1969, there was one private university. And then about 10 years ago, there were about 6 of us that were chartered. And now there are 30 private universities, 10 of which are chartered, and the remainder are still looking for accreditation. So there has been a rapid growth. The other thing that the government has done is post-secondary schools can now affiliate with foreign institutions to bring on board degree programs from universities like yours without having to go through the same process that the private universities now have to go through. The other thing the government has done is last year, 2 years ago, the average rate for admissions into the public sector was 11,000 students a year. This year is 16,000, and next year they're going to be bringing on board 20,000 new students every year. So there is growth, and if you look at all of the institutions that are here now, all 30 of them, then what you'll find is about 90% of them have business programs. So everyone is looking at the demand for business programs. The missing piece in all of this are the human resources. Last year, according to their strategic plan, there were a total of 21 PhDs awarded. There were 5 in business last year. And this is the first group of PhDs in business that have been awarded since independence in 1963 in business. So there's not a lot of rapid growth in terms of doctoral level in business. So it gives you just kind of a real quick glimpse of the higher education scenario, the level of competition that is currently going on in the country, and the need for rapid expansion and the kind of programs and interactions that we're proposing in the Global Business School Network, I think are going to be so critical, not just for USIU, but for other institutions, if we're going to start to meet with some form of quality the growing demand for students who are, in particular, looking for business education. A lot of the theological colleges are even offering business degrees now. So everyone is kind of getting into that field. Then I'd just like to give you a little brief history of USIU. We were founded here in 1969. We are the oldest private university in the country, and we came under the Companies Act. And later we were chartered in 1999 by the Commission for Higher Education under the Moy administration. We have two schools, the Schools of Arts and Science and the School of Business. And starting next year, we will add a third school and splitting out arts and science from the arts and science program. We are 100% tuition driven, so all the development that you see on this campus has been a result of tuition. So your seats, the new library, the land we purchased, all of that has been as a result of tuition. We did receive one grant from USAID's American Schools and Hospitals Abroad program that gave us about 20% of the cost of the library. Our undergraduates, there are 67% are in our business program. So we are heavily in the area of business as well, which is why we're so excited about the Columbia relationship. Our population is 54% female. 46% of our faculty are doctorates. And the majority of those are in our School of Arts and Science. It's a little easier to find PhDs in arts and science than in business. I hope that you will enjoy your stay with us over the next couple of days. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that anyone can do for you while you're, so feel free to interact with our students, our faculty, our staff. They'll always give you a very good conversation. So to Kenya and visit Kenya. And if you want some ideas, we can give you those too. Okay, thank you so much.